Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order.
Question is, will they kill untold millions as they did in the last century? It is not the elite cockroaches that determine that. It is you.
California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Thank you.
Did I wake up in the middle of a Twilight Zone or Outer Limits episode? The American people cheering and chanting the name of someone whose homeland is Austria and who openly talks about being a dictator all the time?
Thank you very much. Thank you. What a greeting.
Arnold wants to be our leader, our Fuhrer. And as American citizens, we have a right to expose him. And that's what we're about to do. From CBS's 60 Minutes to NBC's Meet the Press, Arnold has been all over the airwaves, pushing for amending the Constitution so he can run for president. High-level members of his gubernatorial campaign have now started a national movement to repeal Article 2, Clause 5 of the U.S. Constitution that blocks foreign-born from the presidency. In November of 2004, former President George Herbert Walker Bush gave Schwarzenegger the George Bush Award at his presidential library in College Station, Texas. And he told the crowd, "Don't bet against Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's a good chance he's going to end up being our president." Arnold Schwarzenegger positioned himself into the Kennedy family by marrying Maria Shriver. And now she's out shilling for him, but saying, "It's for other foreigners, not for my husband. Change it for everybody. It's fair. Just trust me." For well over a year, every day they're in the newspapers or on television, pushing to change the Constitution. And now Schwarzenegger, in an authorized biography, has told the Kennedy biographer that yes, there is a secret plan to put him into the White House. And the powerful head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Orrin Hatch, has introduced what is called the Arnold Bill. There are 3 other pieces of legislation introduced by other congressmen like Dana Rohrabacher in the House. They just continue pushing and pushing and pushing, despite the fact that in major polls, 80+% of Americans are against changing the Constitution for Schwarzenegger. But we've got to take the threat seriously, because after a year of propaganda, the numbers have dropped to 65% being against it. And then you have to ask yourself, what will those numbers be in 4 years? The elite love Arnold Schwarzenegger because he has an international appeal, and they've been very carefully grooming him for his role as American president inside the New World Order. That's why we've launched Americans Against Arnold and the website arnoldexposed.com in a desperate attempt to stop this foreign usurper.
Efforts by supporters of California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger to change the United States Constitution are not sitting well with the Texas radio host. Alex Jones claims he raised $5,000 in just 2 hours to combat the campaign for a constitutional amendment to make non-native citizens eligible to serve as president. Jones says he will run TV ads in Austin, Texas and Sacramento, California, opposing the amendment drive.
Now let's look at the men who hold the strings connected to the marionette. Here are two different San Francisco Chronicle articles revealing that it was Karl Rove at Bohemian Grove that set the strategy for Arnold's successful gubernatorial win. An article in the Scottsdale newspaper in September of 2002 openly showed Arnold Schwarzenegger with Warren Buffett and Lord Rothschild and said they were there meeting at the Rothschild Castle to discuss business strategies. In the article, they talked about how he was lining up his run for U.S. president a year before he ran for governor. In the middle of the Enron-engineered California energy crisis, Arnold met secretly with Michael Milken, the junk bond dealer, and Kenneth Lay at a Beverly Hills hotel. The federal government has now released documents from the event, and guess what they were doing at the meeting? Discussing how to cover up Enron's culpability. Arnold ran for governor promising that he wouldn't take special interest money. Guess what? He's broken all previous records for taking corporate money. Like other famous Austrians we can think of, Arnold is obsessed with being king of the world. He's told friends, family, newspapers, magazines, over and over again that he wants to be ruler of the world, that he dreams of being a dictator, that he wants to be worshipped at a Nuremberg-style rally like Hitler. Rolling Stone reported on it in the 70s. The London Guardian and CNN in 2003 both reported how he told friends and family of a recurring dream where he walks the earth as our ruler, and of a 50-year plan he had as a young man to become world ruler. In 1990, he told U.S. News and World Report, "My relationship to power and authority is that I'm all for it. People need somebody to watch over them. 95% of the people in the world need to be told what to do and how to behave." Following in the footsteps of dictators before him, Arnold loves to be seen with giant images of himself behind him. The cult of personality concept in politicians is totally alien to America's history, but it's second nature to people like Kim Jong-il, dictator of North Korea, and ousted dictator Saddam Hussein of Iraq. It was pioneered by Alexander the Great and used to great effect by the Roman emperors. Hitler and Stalin just loved it because it made the people feel insignificant. In the dystopic novel 1984, huge portraits of Big Brother stare down on the slaves. But after all, Arnold's just going with the times. Now across the United States, we've seen these giant billboards with George Bush's picture on it, paid for by his supporters, that say, "George Bush, our leader." President Bush has done something that no American president has ever done. He likes to prance around in military uniforms, reminding us of where his power comes from. We should all be concerned that our president is dressing like Saddam Hussein, Fidel Castro, Mao Zedong, and Adolf Hitler. And Bush loves to be seen in uniform with lots of troops behind him. But so does Arnold. Here is Schwarzenegger giving the fascist salute in one of his bodybuilding poses. A trick the pro-Schwarzenegger press likes to play on the people is to focus on his father and then go, well, he can't help it if his father was an SS officer. What they don't like to focus in on is Nazi war criminal Kurt Waldheim, who was Secretary General of the United Nations. At his wedding to Maria Shriver in 1986, in front of a massive press in attendance, he said the following: "My friends don't want me to mention Kurt's name because of all the recent Nazi stuff and the UN controversy, but I love him. And Maria does too, and so thank you, Kurt." Here's a photo of Arnold Schwarzenegger with Kurt Waldheim in Austria in 1999. Kurt Waldheim was an elite Nazi as well, an officer in the SS. He hunted down American soldiers in Serbia and killed them.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order.
Question is, will they kill untold millions as they did in the last century? It is not the elite cockroaches that determine that. It is you.
An article in '92 in Spy magazine reported on how Arnold liked to give away recordings of Adolf Hitler to friends in California. It also reported on how he loved to give the Sieg Heil salute. Former Mr. Universe Rick Wayne went public and talked about how Arnold loved to call black people the N-word and said they couldn't run or do anything, and how he went on to say that blacks were basically worthless to society. A second champion black bodybuilder, Robbie Robinson, went public. And in his testimony, he talked about a public event in front of thousands of people where Arnold in 1978 began screaming, "Down with the N-words, down with the blacks, subhuman, you people can't run the country." It goes on, but the mainstream media ignores it. Arnold's barbaric treatment of women is legendary, and he's publicly apologized for it. The reason this is so important is it shows a total lack of control. He's a wild man. More important is his love of domination. He loves to degrade underlings. Arnold has never challenged a 2001 Premier magazine article where he reportedly makes unattractive members on set get on their knees and call themselves ugly dogs. He reportedly revels in humiliating people until they cry. Not only is he a man after the elite's own heart, loving to dehumanize, he's totally compromised. If we know about all of these skeletons, imagine how many are still in the closet. In a sit-down interview Arnold gave We magazine, he talked about drug use and sex orgies. The elite just loves that. Total control over their puppet. Then there's all the publicly available gay porn. That's right. In gay porno mags, Arnold's done some spreads. But on top of it, there's the private collections of people like Robert Mapplethorpe, who was a pioneer in hardcore homosexual pornography. One of the biggest problems in Arnold's portfolio of horrors is his admitted use of anabolic steroids. Anabolic steroids, especially heavy use, can permanently change one's psychological makeup. He's also been a poster child for steroid use that has been a ravage on the youth of America. But being a bad role model is nothing compared to the psychological effects that include mania, roid rage, extreme aggression, delusions of grandeur. This is what testosterone and its derivatives cause. It's in the medical handbooks. So let's look at this again. An individual who says he wants to be a dictator, who reportedly hands out recordings of Adolf Hitler's speeches, who openly promotes admitted Nazis like Kurt Waldheim after they're exposed as Nazis and doesn't apologize about it, now wants to be our president. And he's taken a drug that can permanently alter the chemistry of the brain, making you domineering and aggressive and delusional. We're talking about Arnold Alo Schwarzenegger being positioned to be president of the United States, in control of all of our military forces. Think about this compromised individual. In control of our B-2 bombers, our nuclear submarines, our nuclear missiles, our Air Force, our Army, our Navy, everything. You put that together with the police in black uniforms, the ski mask, the Patriot Act. It's a nightmare. And we have the very same elite that tried to bring Hitler to power now pushing Schwarzenegger. It's up to you, America. You better research these facts for yourself and take action to defend our republic from enemies foreign and domestic. In the battle for our liberties and freedoms and our children's future, it's going to be reality, not illusion, that's going to save this country. If we believe the propaganda and the slick packaging, we are going to go into the Fourth Reich of the New World Order. Schwarzenegger and his controllers are counting on you to not take action, to not inform yourself and others, to not stand up against this insane action that they're taking against us, trying to put some foreigner from Austria who says he wants to be a dictator and in control of this country.
And in spite of the attack on our homeland, on our homeland, on our homeland, on our homeland.
Schwarzenegger has the nerve to call America his homeland. By definition, your homeland is the country where you were born. And that country for you, Arnold, is Austria, of the Black Eagle and Lederhosen, where your father was an SS officer, where your mother, when he died, married another top SS officer. That's your homeland. Your homeland is the birthplace of Adolf Hitler, and America will never be your homeland. Your claim of America as your homeland is as false as everything else you do. Then Arnold went into a very revealing diatribe where he talked about the police state in Austria, a police state his father helped set up. The problem is America's turning into that very police state. It's a mirror image.
When I was a boy, the Soviets occupied part of Austria. I saw their tanks in the streets. I saw communism with my own eyes. I remember the fear we had when we had to cross into the Soviet sector. Growing up, we were told, don't look the soldiers in the eye, just look straight ahead. It was common belief that the Soviet soldiers could take a man out of his own car and ship him back to the Soviet Union as slave labor. Now, my family didn't have a car, but one day we were in my uncle's car. It was near dark as we came to the Soviet checkpoint. I was a little boy. I was not an action hero back then. But I remember how scared I was that the soldiers would pull my father or my uncle out of the car and I would never see them again. My family and so many others lived in fear of the Soviet boot.
Well, Arnold, now America imprisons more people than any other country on the face of the earth. And American children grow up in the high-tech police state that your masters have built.